Hello, everybody. Welcome to There and Back Again, where we're walking our way through Tolkien's Legendarium, just looking for new insights and ways to enjoy the books and the stories that we all love. Today, I just want to talk about Tolkien and technology. And you may have already seen the video, which I can link that up here. Kind of a longer video. This will be a little bit shorter, but I just wanted to go over a couple of things and just kind of get my thoughts out there that maybe I wasn't able to get them out the same way in the last video. So if you watched the video, you would have heard me reference this book by Holly Ordway, Tolkien's modern reading, Middle-earth Beyond the Middle Ages. And it is a phenomenal book. Pretty much I recommend you read anything that Holly Ordway has ever written. But it goes over, it's actually not about Tolkien and technology. There's, I guess you could say, really a chapter about that, and then a chapter about Humphrey Carpenter. But we'll kind of get into that, or that's in the other video. She's talking about the fact that a lot of people said that Tolkien didn't read anything newer than 1850 or 1650 or whatever the time was. You know, it stopped at Beowulf. He didn't want to read anything newer than that. And she just kind of went through, I don't know, 400 pages proving that that was in fact not true. And he did read a lot of, at the time, newer science fiction and fantasy and all sorts of stuff. So again, read Holly's book. It's phenomenal. But the big thing to take away, you'll hear me talk about, and in the book, Holly kind of gives, well, I guess you say Professor Ordway kind of gives basically a chapter about why Humphrey Carpenter, you know, the guy who's written like the only biography that was sanctioned by the Tolkien estate, you could almost say tears him apart. But that's, I guess that's not the best way to put it. And I kind of go over all of this stuff as well. The thing is Humphrey wasn't, he didn't go in completely blank. He had intentions. He had his own thoughts about the things Tolkien believed. And, you know, he was like, well, I don't like that. I think that's stupid. So he had his own biases walking into that. And so the things he wrote, you just have to take with a little bit of, you know, giant bucket full of salt. And even everything Dr. Ordway and Corey Olsen and Prancing Pony podcast, everybody, all these big people that are very popular, you have to take a little, everything what they say with a little bit of grain of salt, do your own, you know, do your own reading, see what you see and see what everything means to you. Because in fact, Tolkien interacted with new technology. He enjoyed new technology. He was stated saying he enjoyed driving cars, when in fact a lot of people say, well, he hated cars, and that's not entirely accurate. But people go back to some of the things that Humphrey Carpenter said and be like, see, he doesn't like technology because Humphrey Carpenter said it in the biography. But you have to take I guess you could say a more holistic view of that sort of thing, and just you have to look at more things than just Humphrey Carpenter. And there's a bunch of things, again, I go through it in the video, Dr. Ordway goes through it in the book, of quotes and things from interviews that Humphrey Carpenter did, as well as books later in life that just kind of throw a shadow, at least a little bit, on some of what he wrote. But that's not to say he was a bad person. It's not to say that he didn't do a good job. He did a great job writing the biography. There's a lot of stuff in there that we wouldn't know now had he not written that, even if some of his views were at odds with Professor Tolkien's. But the big thing here is, hey, we hear this, Tolkien doesn't like technology, black and white. Tolkien hated this, or Tolkien would hate this unnamed thing that's maybe or maybe not happening now and about to have a season 3. There needs to be nuance in these conversations. And I understand when we're on X or a Discord channel or YouTube comments, it's hard to be nuanced, but there's nothing to be gained by all of these black and white things. There's a lot of people out there, people on YouTube, just raging against things like Rings of Power. And I will say this, I'm enjoying Rings of Power. I'm not saying it's amazing, but I'm enjoying it. But part of the reason I'm enjoying it is because I'm looking at it through the lens of what Tolkien already wrote and the things I know about him from what else I've read, and dissecting the show and seeing like, oh, I see how they're calling back to the Silmarillion, which is something that they didn't have access to technically, like officially have access to. But people online, there's no nuance in saying, well, I enjoyed that, but yes, I see how it's not great, but this is what they were doing. And it's hard to see. We need nuance. We're looking at this all wrong. It's not yes or no. It's maybe a yes and or yes maybe, something like that. And I can also reference something that Corey Olson said. He came out with a video on his Rings and Realms YouTube channel saying, in short, there is no Tolkien canon. And he had an 11-minute long episode or video talking about what he means by that. And there's different meanings of the word canon, and he's talking about what he means. People rage saying, well, you're wrong, because they only listened to him say there's no canon, didn't really listen to what he said. I'm not saying I agree with him. I'm not saying I disagree with him. I'm just saying that people didn't listen to the nuance in what he was talking about. I understood what he was saying. It made sense, whether I necessarily, again, may or may not agree. But it made sense. And we have to come at this stuff with nuance. I beg all of you. This is my rant for the day. But I still want to encourage you to read Dr. Ordway's book. It's amazing. Again, read everything she's written. It's phenomenal. There's a couple things I haven't read yet, but it's great. But ultimately, after reading her book, what I came away with is that as a fandom, we're awesome. There are so many cool people who watch these videos, who watch other videos, who produce videos, so many awesome and cool people. But things start to go south when all we do is say black or white, yes or no. It's good or it's bad. There's no in between road. And this is where, as a community, we need to live. Hey, I may love this, but let's look at the things that maybe aren't great. Hey, I don't like this. Let's try and find some positive things about it, or maybe see what they did right. Just a little bit. I encourage you all to do this. This is my, I guess you could just say, public service rant of the day. Let's all just take a second. Anything we see in Tolkien or made about Tolkien, just look at it. Let's analyze. Let's think about why we have such a reaction to it. And let's talk about other people in a lovely, nice way so that maybe we can see their point of view. Maybe we disagree, but we can do that in a nice way. We can see the nuance in these things. And that Tolkien wrote nuance. People talk about it's black and white with his characters are too black and white. They're good or they're bad. There's nuance in those characters. There's nuance in Aragorn. Boromir, holy cow. This last read through I had of the book, and listening to Corey Olson's podcast, I learned that there's a lot more to Boromir than I realized. There's nuance in Tolkien, so let's do him the courtesy of looking at his stuff with that nuance, then do each other the courtesy of looking at it and discussing it with nuance. So I appreciate all of you so much. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe. We have a couple of great offers for you in the description. Some 15% off Chapters Tea and Coffee, and of course, the Rocket Mortgage Friends and Family discount. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. And as always, out into Day Shut.